Vienna is frequently listed as the most accessible city in Europe, so we figured this was a great place to head for our first trip. We grabbed our hand luggage and the Freewheel and jumped on a plane from London Luton to Vienna International Airport. So we're on the train now, just leaving the airport and going into Vienna, into the centre. So this is actually the old train with the steps, but there's a lift to get on off. But apparently there's also some trains which are come down level to the platform, so you can just wheel straight on and off. We're not 100% sure if we're on the right train because
the guy giving us help in the airport seemed pretty convinced that we should take this one, but we've had a look on Google and we're not quite so sure.
We think we would have got closer if we'd taken a different one,
but we'll find a way. Apparently the metro is very good in Vienna and very accessible, so
yeah, I'm sure we'll get there.
If it comes to that, then that's what we'll do.
It turned out the train we took didn't go to the right station. We switched onto another train which took us a couple of stops to the correct station. The train we took was an Austrian Federal Railways train. We would have been better on the other train we identified, which was the City Airport train. We'll cover more on this train at the end of the video. From the station we headed straight to our hotel to check in and dump our bags before heading out to explore the city. We stayed at the Ibis Styles WIEN MESSE PRATER, which I've probably pronounced totally wrong, so I'll put a link to the hotel in the description. We booked the hotel through booking.com. We simply requested an accessible room in the special request box on the booking form. I'll put a link in the description to a guide we've written about booking accessible hotels. We found the accessibility of the hotel and of the room pretty good for our needs. The entrance was level and had wide automatic doors, and there were 2 lifts to go up to the upper floors. Our accessible room had a nice wide doorway, with a bathroom with a roll-in shower, a shower seat and a toilet with grab rails. The sink was the right height to roll the wheelchair right underneath, which was nice, and the mirror could tilt down. The towel hooks on the back of the door were also at a low level. Unfortunately, the bin was a foot pedal bin, which is not suitable for a paraplegic to be able to use. There was an emergency alarm in both the bathroom and the bedroom. Unfortunately, the one in the bathroom was a little too easy to accidentally set off. The bedroom area itself was not that spacious, but there was just about enough room down the side of the bed so that Craig could transfer from the wheelchair into the bed. After we checked into the hotel, we headed out to explore the city and grab some food. We're in the Hard Rock Cafe now in Vienna. We had to get the ramp out to get in through the door, and then there was a lift inside, so it's quite accessible.
At least they do have a ramp.
Yeah, so it's quite accessible really. It's good to know that they have a ramp as well, because we might have just walked past if the guy hadn't seen us. So it's good to know. They do have a ramp, you can get in. How's the food?
Pretty good. There's not of it.
We're sharing. We got ribs and what was the burger? Bacon something?
Bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, and then we split them both. Oh, and these parmesan fries actually are quite good.
Yeah.
Day 2 was our only full day in Vienna, so we got up early to make the most of it. Schönbrunn Palace was our first stop, but first we had to work out how to use the metro.
Yeah, so we're at the metro, looking at ticket prices. It seems like they don't have a concession for wheelchair users, just for children and dogs. So
and over 60 please.
Yeah, so we could get a 24-hour, 48-hour ticket for unlimited trips in that time period. That was €8 for 24 hours, but it's only €2.40 for a single trip. So 2 single trips is less than 8, so we're going to go for this.
They seem to have contactless everywhere as well. Make sure you validate your metro tickets so you don't get a fine. Go to this one with the wheelchair symbol.
Nice. That's pretty efficient.
The metro itself was fairly accessible, but there was a small bump between the platform and the carriages, so you need to be able to do a wheelie, have an attachment such as the Freewheel which will get you over the step, or find a friend to give you a small push. Out of the metro stations or anything, look for that symbol That seems to be the lift symbol, the wheelchair in the box with arrow. So we've just arrived at, I'm just going to apologise now for my pronunciation. Schönbrunn Palace, something like that. There's cobbles underground, so the Freewheel's definitely helping out here, isn't it?
Oh yeah, much easier with Freewheel on.
So we're going to go and look around. You do have to pay to go inside the palace. We weren't bothered about going inside, so we just explored the extensive gardens which are free to enter. If you do want to go inside, a disabled person's discount is available, and a companion can accompany you free of charge. So we wanted to go in the maze, but unfortunately we're a few weeks early as it's closed until April. And I'd like to go up there. I might have to do a lot of pushing, but I think it'll be worth it. Apparently there's a good view when you look back ahead.
Ready? Keep the momentum up. Oh, gone up another couple of sections. How are you feeling, Claire?
Tired?
Yeah.
Just a bit tired.
Unfortunately, still got a little way to go.
We're wrapped this morning.
Oh my gosh, look at Claire, she's having to bend way down.
We made it.
Finally.
We made it to the top.
Let's go and see if our view is worth it. It is down the hill.
It's too high.
Well, it's hard work, but I think it's worth it. Some pretty nice views.
After the slog up the hill, we decided to reward ourselves to a cake and a drink in the Gloriette Cafe. The cafe has no obvious wheelchair access as the main entrance is up a set of stairs, but if you go around the back you can actually get in through a hidden accessible entrance. We headed back down and back into the centre of Vienna. We just made it down that steep hill with a lot of difficulty. It was almost harder actually going down than it was going up. We had planned to get a late lunch in Vienna's big food market, but neither of us were particularly hungry after the cafe stop, so in the end we just got a snack to keep us going until the evening. So this market is basically, this is 2 rows, and there's a mixture of stalls and restaurants.
Yeah, the majority of people seem to be selling stuff like spices down there.
It's the same few things, there's like about 5 different kind of things, and there's multiple shops selling the same thing. Once we've gone about halfway down, you see everything goes really. We looked around the city, checking out some of the sights such as the Opera Building as we made our way towards the House of Music Museum. It's like the Vienna version of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. A couple of stands. Neither of us are normally into museums, but we enjoyed this one because it was very interactive and you can't go to Vienna without doing something music related. I discovered that conducting an orchestra definitely isn't my forte. The museum was fairly accessible, but there were a few exhibits such as the piano staircase that Craig couldn't use. Once we'd had our fill of the museum, we were ready to eat. We wanted to try something new that we could only get in Austria, but that was also a reasonable price, and this restaurant fit the bill. Now I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce this, so here it is on the screen. SCHACHTELWIRTSCHAFT?
SCHACHTELWIRTSCHAFT.
Yeah, it was cheap, it tasted quite nice.
Yeah, it's like...
It's quite busy as well.
8 to 10 euros a plate, and they're pretty filling and pretty tasty, so I can't go wrong with that.
This is nice. This restaurant wasn't the most accessible. The door was very heavy and the tables were very high. Despite that, we'd still recommend it and would go there again because the food was very good and each dish was under 10 euros each. After dinner we went to have a look around the PRATER amusement park. We were slightly too early in the season, so most things were still shut. We did find some electric scooters and a code for 3 free unlocks to play around on. I always say I need a scooter to keep up with Craig when he's going downhill as he always zooms away, so this was fun to try out.
We found a code online that lets you have free rides up to 15 minutes for free. So Claire's just found a scooter and she's having a bit of fun. And we can post the code on the video and hopefully it'll still be valid for a little while longer. So yeah, we actually managed to get Claire towing me along on that for a little while, which was quite fun. But unfortunately we can't film that at the same time.
We went to McDonald's for a cheap dessert before calling it a night. McDonald's to get an ice cream, and we noticed this cool thing on the screen. So if you click this, it makes it small, so if you're in a wheelchair you can reach the whole thing, which is quite cool. You can't really reach the top otherwise. Day 3 was our final day in Vienna. We had a midday flight, so we only had a few hours before we had to head to the airport. We decided to check out some of the unusual architecture in the city before heading to the station to get the train back to the airport. We took the city airport train this time, which was a much better way to get to the airport. The journey was only 16 minutes and there was a half-price concession for disabled people, plus carers could go for free. These trains are modern and accessible. A small wheelie or an attachment such as the Freewheel is needed to get onto the train, otherwise the attendant at the station will bring out a ramp for you. There was a designated wheelchair area on each carriage. Just got to the airport in Vienna?
Yeah.
And that was the end of our time in Vienna. Overall, we found the city very accessible. Public transport around the city was very good. Most stations had lifts, metro carriages were close to the platform, and accessible trams were indicated on the platform display. This is a wheelchair accessible tram. On the signs it tells you if the tram's wheelchair accessible. You can see the little symbol on the sign, so you know which one you'll be able to get on and off. Some of the older ones aren't accessible, they've got steps. Apparently the buses are also accessible, but we didn't try them ourselves. Most of the pavements were wide, level and smooth, which made it easy to wheel around the city. This was the main way we got around. There were also plenty of drop curbs. Most of the attractions were also highly accessible. Shops, bars and restaurants were not always accessible, particularly in the city centre, but there were enough to give you choice over where to go. Disabled toilets were easy to come by. Most stations, attractions and accessible restaurants had them. If you're planning your own trip to Vienna, here's some information that you might find useful. As with most of Europe, the currency used in Vienna is euros. Card payments are widely accepted across the city. In fact, I'm not sure we use cash at all. We found Vienna to be relatively expensive compared to neighbouring capitals such as Budapest, Bratislava and Prague, but it was not out of line with other major Western European cities. German is the main language spoken in Vienna. A lot of people also speak very good English. Vienna runs on Central European Time or Central European Summer Time, depending on the time of year. There were plenty of disabled toilets, however many of them required a Euro toilet key to open them. This key is also widely used in Germany and Switzerland. We didn't have this key and struggled to find toilets in some places, but depending on where you were, you might be able to find an attendant to open it for you. We found that the toilets we did use were generally of a very high standard. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment and we'll do our best to answer it. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. So we almost just ran over that woman there because we were coming behind and then she just stepped out and we moved to the side and then she just turned again and almost got right on the freewheel, completely oblivious.